welcome back, guys. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Judgment. To maintain your independence, you must always be needed and wanted. The more you are relied on, the more freedom you have. More people depend on you for their happiness and prosperity, and you have nothing to fear. Never teach them enough so that they can do without you. Transgression of the law. Sometimes in the Middle Ages, a mercenary soldier or condottiere, whose name has not been recorded, saved the town of Siena from a foreign aggressor. How could the citizen of Siena reward him? No amount of money or honor could possibly compare in value to the preservation of the city's liberty. The citizens started making the mercenary the lord of the city, but even that, they decided, wasn't recompense enough. At least one of them stood before the assembly called to debate this matter and said, "Let us kill him and then worship him as our patron saint." And so they did. The Count of Carmagnola was one of the bravest and most successful of all the condottieri. In 1442, late in his life, he was in the employ of the city of Venice, which was in the midst of a long war with Florence. The Count was suddenly recalled to Venice, a favorite of the people. He was received there with all kinds of honor and splendor. That evening he was to dine with the dog himself in the dog's palace. On the way into the palace, however, he noticed that the guard was leading in a different direction from usual, crossing the famous bridge of Sighs. He suddenly realized where they were taking him, to the dungeon. He was convinced on a triumph of charge, and the next day in the Piazza San Marco, before a horrified crowd who could not understand how his fate had changed so drastically, he was beheaded. Interpretation. Many of the great condottieri of Renaissance Italy suffered the same fate as the patron saint of Siena and the Count of Carmagnola. They won barrel after barrel for their employers, only to find themselves banished, imprisoned, or executed. The problem was not ingratitude, it was that there were so many other condottieri, as able and valiant as they were replaceable. Nothing was lost by killing them. Meanwhile, the older among them had grown powerful themselves and wanted more and more money for their services. How much better than to do away with them and hire a younger, cheaper mercenary? That was the fate of the Count of Carmagnola, who had started to act impudently and independently. He had taken his power for granted without making sure that he was truly indispensable. Such is the fate. To a less violent degree, one hopes of those who do not make others dependent on them. Sooner or later, someone comes along who can do the job as well as they can. Someone younger, fresher, or less expensive, less threatening. Be the only one who can do what you do, and make the fate of those who hire you so entwined with yours that they cannot possibly get rid of you. Otherwise, you'll someday be forced to cross your own bridge of Sighs. Observance of the law. When Otto von Bismarck became a deputy in the Prussian parliament in 1847, he was 32 years old, and without an ally or a friend. Looking around him, he decided that the side to ally himself with was not the parliament's liberals or conservatives, not any particular minister, and certainly not the people. It was with the King Frederick Williams IV. This was an odd choice, to say the least, for Frederick was at a low point of his power, a weak, indecisive man. He constantly gave in to the liberals in the parliament. In fact, he was spineless and stood for much that Bismarck disliked personally and politically. Yet Bismarck courted Frederick night and day. When other deputies attacked the king for his many inept moves, only Bismarck stood by him. Finally, it all paid off. In 1851, Bismarck was made a minister in the king's cabinet. Now he went to work. Time and again, he forced the king's hand, getting him to build up the military, to stand up to the liberals, and do exactly as Bismarck wished. He worked on Frederick's insecurity about his manliness, challenging him to be firm and to rule with pride, and he slowly restored the king's powers until the monarchy was once again the most powerful force in Prussia. When Frederick died in 1861, his brother William assumed the throne. William disliked Bismarck intensely and had no intention of keeping him around, but he also inherited the same situation his brother had. Enemies galore who wanted to nibble his power. Okay, bye.